Hey guys, you here, aka Gene. So this will be sort of my last commentary that I'll make to deal with this topic, because there still seems to be a lot of confusion. I just want to clear things out a little bit, clear the air a bit. If you guys remember, a couple of days ago, there was a little trailer posted to do with racing with my voice over it. It sounded a bit cheesy, but hey, it wasn't really the perfect footage to show with the statement that I made. So a lot of people are on this notion that GTA 5 should not be taken seriously as a racing game. And I can understand where people are coming from, but then people need to also respect where we're coming from and why we take this at this level that we are. So first of all, think about a content creator, right? We've got land races, an option to create land races, but you can do as whatever design you want with the 120 props given, okay? So with that being said, if I were to create a track, I want to base it on an F1 style track, because I know racing is possible in this game. And so I'll put restrictions around the track on pavements and whatnot to make sure people are forced to stay onto the road. This way, with the restrictions, you're increasing the skill gap required to consistently go around the track as quickly as possible, because you have to pay attention. You can't just be lazy, because if you be lazy, it'll be extremely costly with having to face the consequences of hitting a barrier on the outside that is making you, stick to the road. So with that being said, to keep up with the pace and to really go as quickly as possible, there's a lot of car control involved because of these restrictions. You can't, like I said, you can't be lazy and take a stupid wide line, because you have to face the consequences of crashing into a barrier that is forcing you to stick to the road. Now, here's the thing, alright? Now, when everyone's using the same car, which we all tend to do when it comes to supercar racing, in itself is another skill gap, because it's going at optimal speed with using all the pace available from GTA 5 mechanics, which is the supercars. Plus, a lot of people ask me, why are we not using Zentornos anymore? Because Zentorno is not a natural car to race with. It's mainly a car which only sort of has one style of driving, which is brake and go, stop and start, stop and start. And for GTA 5, with the speed that the Zentorno generates, it's not possible to get smooth, clean racing. Simply because if you have 10 cars that are Zentornos going at each other, you're mainly going to be getting this following feel to it. Especially the cars like Jester, you're just going to get this following feel. You won't have this back and forth action with one person overtaking another unless someone makes a mistake. And that's not part of racing in our eyes. When it comes to car control, when cars that tend to oversteer, which require a lot of throttle control when having to carry the optimal speed around a corner, cars like the Turismo Feltzer seems to be doing the job. And so a lot of the driver skill is coming into play. So who can consistently keep that car in control around every single lap without making a mistake? Mistakes do happen at each corner around each lap, and it can come to lack of concentration. Because when everyone, here's the thing, that there's not much required from GTA 5 racing. There's not many things to look at, especially with the controls, and nothing much to do with the car tuning, as opposed to other actual racing games where it comes to tuning the cars, suspensions, transmission, all of that, paying attention to that. Yeah, fair enough, that's another skill gap in itself, and I do respect that. But you got to understand also with when GTA 5, when there's nothing much to look at, when everybody can get to the equal skill level really easily, this in itself creates another intense scenario. Because if all 10 players are equally skilled as each other, it comes down to psychological factors of dealing with pressure, who can actually keep control of their car when the other cars around them keep going at the same rate, and who can actually make the choices of taking different lines as opposed to optimal lines and really adapting to the situation. And that is where the GTA 5 skill factor comes into play for racing. And I just want people to understand that, although the game is simple, who can actually optimize their speed around every single lap, at the same time involve racecraft to cleanly overtake someone and to be able to defend as well. That's the difference. That is the skill factor that is important about GTA 5, to really understand the way the game works. But first things first, even though this game is simple, not everybody can keep up with the pace of GTA 5, because it's not realistic. Because it's so unrealistic, there's a whole skill factor involved of adapting to the pace of GTA 5 with the requirements, that you need for this game to be able to keep up with this pace consistently, and to be able to use up all the energy from yourself to do that. Because not everybody's the same, of course. Some people take longer to get to this level than others, but once everybody is at equal terms, which is what this lobby is pretty much showing you, you can see a lot of mistakes are made from each players, lacking concentration, dealing with the pressure, especially when someone's neck on neck, breathing down the back of your car. And this is what makes the game fun, and that's the beauty of this. And I don't know, I just feel like when a lot of people say that GTA 5 is not a racing game, yeah, I agree that it's not a realistic racing game, but we're not going for realism. Realism in itself can get boring, you know, it doesn't last long. You know, that's why a lot of games like Gran Turismo, you know, stuff like that, for me personally anyway, this is coming from my opinion, that doesn't really make me stick to the game and really make me play for years. Although I did play it for years back in the day because I had no other option of another racing game. But this came into play when GTA 5 came into play. I sort of understood that if I were to perfect the mechanics, and everyone were to perfect the mechanics and get to the equal pace, right, that is required for this game, this can be extremely fun, you know, because it's unrealistic, you know. The pace at which you go at, you can't get that in any other game because GTA set it at such a high boundary that it requires hell of a lot of reaction and good, you know, quick thought process to really get things done properly. So overtaking properly requires quick thinking because of the speed that you're carrying, which you're forced to react quickly in situations, because if you don't, it will be extremely costly. And plus, if you're not going at this sort of rate and this sort of speed, you won't be able to keep up with the players in front because they obviously are going at this pace, maximum potential that the GTA 5 mechanics provide and makes it available for you to do, which is awesome. But don't forget car control. There is a very small amount of car control involved to carry that speed, but that in itself does require a lot of concentration. So, you know, you could just take a speed, right? A lot of people, the thing is, when they take a corner, they brake too much. But then you don't have to brake too much. You can just let go of your throttle and really manage your throttle through throttle control, I guess, you know, to really optimize that speed carry. But then your car could oversteer, your car could understeer, but that is to do with the player's skill and to know how much you have to carry, especially when there's other cars around you. And this is where it's getting a little bit more interesting, right? You see here 3 cars closing up, right, in this particular footage, and I'm having to fight for my first position. I'm just really pushing it and trying to apply as much pressure as I can. But here's the thing, all 3 of the drivers you see, I'm on the top left, Combo's on the top right. He's slightly oversteered there because he's feeling that pressure, because I'm literally breathing down his neck. I'm not paying attention to the car behind me. I'm just paying attention to fight for first. Now watch what happens. I'm applying so much pressure that he loses concentration and boom, he crashes on that apex and he completely loses it, right? But that's because we're all on equal terms. We fully understand the mechanics, but now it's all psychological thing where the intensity builds up, the pressure builds up. So now I've gathered first position, right? But right behind me is Superman. We're approaching the, I think this is the last lap. Yeah, this is the last lap. And you probably think, yeah, I've got a comfortable win, but it's not, because now the pressure is on me to hold this position, and it's technically easier for him to apply pressure on me because he's got nothing to lose, you know. So this is where it comes down to the notion of, all right, so I need to just keep focused, but then keep on carrying this speed around every single corner. See that I completely flopped that braking point in the hairpin because back of my head I know he's breathing down my neck, and now I've got this pressure, and that feeling of pressure is what makes this game so good for racing. And that's what I want you guys to understand, the people that are speaking against this game, because it's just a whole different experience of racing. It's not realistic, but it's still fun because it's got that arcade feel to it. So I made a mistake on the Apex, and this is where, for me personally, I feel comfortable in the situation, because now Superman has the pressure. He's in the lead, but all he has to do is take it calm and easy. But then again, when you slow the pace down and take it calm and easy, but then the person behind applying all the pressure from all the pace and really pushing it, you get this, you know, the gap getting closed down. You get this feeling of extra pressure applied, and you see here he's now having to make sure he's got his racecraft on form, but he managed to let me go through. He slips up, but then he grabs the inside on me, although I tried to close it up, made it difficult for him. These are nice wide open road, sorry. This is Shark GP, by the way, one of the tracks, and I do grab him back on the inside here, and I pull off a defensive maneuver right about here to close off the inside, so he had nowhere to go. He could only grab me on the outside. But then, yeah, on the last few corners I managed to take the race. But you guys can see how awesome racing is on GTA 5 if everybody's on equal terms. And to get to equal terms on this game does require a hell of a lot of practice that I feel that a lot of people are not willing to do because of such requirements of unrealism and arcade feel. But that's understandable. If people want realism, then by all means do sim racing and whatnot. But then the fact is, the point is, GTA 5, there is still racing in it, as you can evidently see, on equal terms. And when there's no catch up, when there's no slipstream, it's all to do with the driver's skill and dealing with pressure. That is simply the beauty of GTA 5 racing. And hopefully you guys can appreciate that, and appreciate where we're coming from, and respect that. And you know, GTA, there is racing on GTA 5 regardless what you say. It's just a choice that we put amongst ourselves with these restrictions to make it this sort of a feel for us. And hopefully, you know, if there's people out there showing interest in this, to be able to get to this pace requirement first, and then to put in racecraft and the knowledge application to overtakes and defensive maneuvers to get this smooth, clean racing, which is what we've tried to aim for all these months since GTA has been out. And one of the reasons why we constantly hot lapped to build the pace up, and now working on racecraft, which, you know, a lot of people have done. So yeah, try out Shark GP, is one of my favorite tracks from the Zoo King playlist, link in description below. There's multiple battle zones, multiple overtaking zones, as you've evidently seen, and there's a lot of pressure points, especially holding your lines when these multiple corners and consecutive corners, which requires a hell of a lot of skill to really keep composed under these circumstances and conditions. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Good night, peace. Yeah. Hey guys, Shaggy here, aka Gene. So just a few days ago, someone from the Nodo crew within the racing community came up with a brilliant idea of a different approach for